At the end of a cross-country journey, a vintage Stearman biplane made a detour on the way to its new home in the Smithsonian Institution and flew low over a group of very special World War II veterans, Tuskegee Airmen, some of whom may have learned to fly in that very plane half a century before. My name is Lonnie Bunch. I'm the director of the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture. Not many people know the history of the Tuskegee Airmen, but we're about to change that. Throughout all of American history, one of the most important stories of heroism is the story of the Tuskegee Airmen. They trained for war in a system designed for their failure, at a program set up to show that they weren't on par with white pilots. Instead, they proved over and over in the skies above Europe that not only were they the equal of anyone who had ever flown, they had a message for their country and even the world, that through their perseverance, sacrifice, and excellence, they could reshape history. Their success paved the way for the integration of the U.S. military, the federal government, and the nation as a whole. When our museum opens its doors on the National Mall in 2015, we'll be proud to showcase the spirit of Tuskegee, one of only a few remaining aircraft with direct ties to the Tuskegee Airmen. What makes this plane so exciting isn't only its remarkable past, it's the way it brings people together to learn the individual stories of some of America's most important citizens.
The system said we were ignorant and childlike, incompetent, and we're not able to fly a piece of high-class machinery. And of course, we proved them wrong.
Tuskegee, Alabama is where the flying school was. It was the worst place in the country for Negroes. That's what we're called then. We were not only learning to fly, we were out to prove a point. That look, we as a race of people can do anything you can do, only do it better.
The 332nd Fighter Group earned a name for themselves of being the people who would escort those bombers to the target, stay with them, protect them, and get them back home.
I guess I'm a product of their legacy. I wouldn't be here right now, maybe if they hadn't done what they've done and sacrificed the way they did.
But the spirit of Tuskegee was not always an object of national pride. In fact, when Captain Matt Quay purchased the plane in 2002, it was a wreck.
When we received the airplane, it had quite a bit of damage. The pilot had basically lost the engine and set it down on a dirt road.
When they submitted the plane serial number to the Air Force Archives located at Maxwell Air Force Base, they got a very surprising phone call.
He asked, if we were sitting down. That's when he told us then the airplane had actually flown with the Tuskegee Airmen. Originally, when we had the airplane, we were thinking we'd restore it and fly some thrill rides with it. And then when we found out about the history behind the airplane, we decided that we wanted to do something really important with it and dedicate it to the Tuskegee Airmen.
Through his journey with the spirit of Tuskegee, Matt learned firsthand the power of encountering our history.
Going to the air shows with the Tuskegee Airmen and hanging out with the guys, you really get to hear their stories, and you can really ask them a lot of the in-depth questions. When we started out with this aircraft, being a young white couple, how do you really understand what they went through? There's no way we could comprehend the segregation and the racism that they went through back in the war. So we've learned a lot, and we've grown a lot with these guys.
I can read it.
There you go.
The thing that we could do most to honor the legacy of the Tuskegee Airmen is to remember what they did for the integration of our armed forces, the integration of our country. This airplane will help to keep that story alive.
It is my hope that with this plane, the museum will continue to educate all Americans about the Tuskegee Airmen and about the crucial contributions of African Americans to our nation's history and culture.